Hi everybody! In this video I will be talking about the difference between classes here in Japan and back home in Denmark. I have been asked this by, I don't recall the name, I'm sorry, but I will write it in the description below. In this video I'm going to talk about how the classes work, like length and what language they're taught in. I'm going to talk a little bit about student-teacher relations and also like how the classroom just kind of works. And I am going to touch briefly upon how it feels to be an exchange student compared to being a normal university student in Denmark. And I will hopefully list the two sites like Japan and Denmark, hopefully. So the first thing that's different is the class length, where in Denmark we only have a lesson of 45 minutes. Here in Japan, one lesson, it's 90 minutes and there is no breaks. It's pretty different, like you have to concentrate for an hour and a half instead of 45 minutes and then 10-minute breaks and 45 minutes. I don't think necessarily it's better when it's a language class. I would wish for us to have some time to just kind of rewind our brains to be able to learn more, but that's just how it works over here. The language used in the classes is Japanese only. I'm not quite sure about the most basic or basic levels, but at least all of the other levels are in Japanese. And I think also the basic level will be in Japanese. Maybe they will use a little more English than they do on my level, but I don't know, don't count on the classes, the language classes being in English. In Denmark it's like a mixture of Japanese and Danish, and I actually don't know which I prefer. Like, at least with the Japanese only you get to listen to a lot of Japanese. So. Here in Japan we have a test every single week. Sometimes we have a test every day we have class. Whereas in Denmark we have maybe like a test every second week or something. So that's a quite big difference, but then the Japanese tests are a little shorter. Oh, actually they call them quizzes and they're a little shorter. They take about 10 minutes, and then for every second chapter we complete, we have a test in those two chapters. It's the vocab and grammar, and that's about 40 minutes, I think. It will be less if anybody finishes after half an hour. Then they're just not gonna force you to sit 10 minutes and stare into the air. When you get your test back, the teacher will actually quite often be like, here's your test, you did it good, or here's your test, you made a lot of mistakes in this area, so you need to do better there, and they will do it in front of the whole class. As in Denmark, you would never do that. You would just be like, here's your test back, and then I will call you outside or something so the other students won't hear it, because learning and your learning curve is a really private thing. So it was kind of a really big shock to me that they would just like in front of everybody in the whole class be like, oh yeah, and this person did really bad, so you gotta study. And speaking about studying, here in Japan the workload when it comes to homework isn't as brutal as it is in Denmark, where it was like you were lucky if you had like an hour or two for yourself if you wanted to do all your homework, whereas here you can do all your homework and still go out and have fun and study for the next test. So that's quite a significant difference. It's not, I don't feel like I learn less over here. I just feel like it's a little slower paced. But it might be good, because then you can actually remember what you learned instead of you just cram like 1,000 small sentence bits inside your head and you just can't use any of them. Student-teachers relations. Here in Japan you get treated a little like a child compared to Denmark. When they teach you, it's sometimes you just get the feeling that they speak really weirdly to you, but okay, no matter where you go in Japan as a university student, they will most often treat you as a child because you're not yet educated, you're still a student. That's also like when you live here in the dorm, you're also being treated kind of like a child sometimes, and it's kind of frustrating where I'm from, because in Denmark you take responsibility for your own self, and if you don't, it's your problem. Nobody is going to help you. And that will lead me on to the homework assignments. We have a lot of those where you have to turn them in, and in Denmark if you don't turn them in on time and you get like, maybe if you're lucky you get one more chance to turn it in, and if you don't turn it in they won't care. Whereas over here you get multiple chances and you can just basically turn it in when you want to. It may or may not affect your grade in the last end. I don't think it will have that much of an effect, to be honest. That's about it from just speaking about the strictly teacher-student relations and the workload and how classes generally work. It's not really that related to classes and how they're different from what you're used to. But when you are an exchange student, the international center, at least in Chile, they will keep really good, like real tabs on you. It's like how many classes you attend. If you don't attend enough of your classes, you will be called to international center and you'll have to talk to the person in charge of wherever you're from, and it's they keep great tabs on us, and it's kind of weird when if you come from a situation where you have been mostly independent. So that's really a thing you're gonna learn to deal with real fast, because otherwise it could be quite annoying. You just kind of had to accept that that's the Japanese way, I guess. So that was it for this video. Please remember, I am only talking about my personal experience. I'm only talking from the standpoint of a Danish person experiencing this, so it might be different depending on where you come from. But this is just the differences I have found and experienced compared to what I'm used to back in Denmark. So I hope you found it somewhat entertaining, and please, again, this was a request, so if there's anything you would like me to talk about, please write it to me and I shall do my best. Bye bye, I hope you are good wherever you are.